Greetings guys and gals, this is XIJABERWALKIX bringing you the best in esports. Today we have Starcraft Broodwar, the PDPOP MSL round of 16 set 1 between Classic and Hydra. Hydra is going to be playing at the top right as the brown Zerg, and at the bottom left we have the blue Terran player Classic, who is relatively new, so we're going to have to see how he does against Hydra, who is a pretty good player. In my opinion, I think that he's a little bit over 50%, and so that makes him pretty good in terms of StarCraft, at least. You know, none of them notably winning anything too big in terms of OSL, MSL stuff, so I don't know how this game is going to go, honestly. This is going to be on Circuit Breaker, which is a 4-player map. At first I thought it was on Benzene just because I didn't look at the description, but no, this is going to be on Circuit Breaker. You can tell pretty much simply because I think the tiles are a little bit different, not the tile set, but just how the spawning locations are and the type of tiles they used. Also, you can tell because that Overlord is not going directly to the bottom left, it's kind of using the slice, it's trying to slice the gap kind of to where if the scout goes from that top left position, it's going to try to see that scout, but it's also going to be close enough to where it would probably see the bottom left scout as well, and that the other Overlord is doing the same thing, kind of taking that in between 45-degree angle position. Barracks going up for Classic, and so yeah, Circuit Breaker has bases on all 4 corners, 12 hatch going down for Hydra, and there's a lot of open space in the middle, so we're going to have to see how each player utilizes this attribute of the map. And I know you guys don't really like when I talk over the beginning of the game, and I'll point out little things here and there, but I want to talk about a video I just watched, and I had watched it before when it first came out, the history of the OSL from like 1998 to 2010, after last year's OSL, and that video just brought back some really strong, deep emotions with me. And actually, I know this sounds stupid, but I actually teared up a little bit because when you watch that video, you just see how committed these players are to the game and how much they love the game and how much the game means to them. I mean, they live in dorms, they practice 12 hours a day. You know, one of my subscribers told me about Action, who I never really watched Action, so I didn't know. Apparently, he was noted for playing 12 hours, you know, the standard 12 hours, and then playing 8 more hours and only getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep. That's how much he wanted to be good at the game. Ooh, drone getting picked off. And that's just so big, another in-base hatch going down for Hydra. But, you know, that just shows you how much they love about the game. And even professional sports players, man, they don't practice that much. You know, when you play an esport like this, it's so easy to practice that practicing goes up that extra notch because you know your competition is practicing that extra notch. And so practice really comes into huge play, and so these players just put so much into the game that they play that is absolutely ridiculous, and I really commend them for doing all they do. And that's what I want for the West. That's what I want, is not necessarily for people to practice that much, I think that would be nice, but what I want is like just seeing the Korean Air OSL. I know that it was in China this time, but there's so many people watching the game, and it's just ridiculous how many people watch Broodwar in Korea and China. And I want it to be that big. I really do want it to be that big because I think that would be absolutely awesome. And you really care about the players, you know. You see the Bisu not ever, you know, winning an OSL, or you see the Stork, Mr. King of Silver, finally getting his title, and you see Fantasy, another person who, you know, seems to get silver a lot, and you see them and you really want them to win. And that's why I'm really tentative if I want a Jaedong Bisu MSL final, just because Bisu's back. You know, I want him to win, and if Jaedong was in the final as well, that would be another final that he got second in, and he would almost be the new King of Silver, even though he's won a few titles himself. But that would be such an emotional final, and I don't even know if I could really I could really handle that emotionally. I know that sounds stupid, but honestly I think that that's a big part of why Broodwar is so big, is just the connection with the players and the pro league and stuff like that. And that's why I think that the GSL really needs to rethink their stuff, and Blizzard needs to rethink their stuff. Blizzard needs to take a step back, take their hands off of GOM TV and Greytech, and let them do their thing. Let them do the thing that, you know, GOM TV was never the best at doing it, but they're better than what the GSL is now. Gosh, I can't talk. You know, because the GSL, it's had like 3 GSLs in a matter of like 4 months, and the next GSL is starting. That's why people don't care about it. And there was a thread in TL that was saying how many seats they reserved, and how like 10 people showed up for testers round of 32 or round of 64 or something like that. It's like, well, duh, because these games don't matter. When you have tournaments that often and you have this big thing so often, it doesn't matter. One, the SC2 scene in Korea isn't as big, and 2, you can't have tournaments every month and expect them to matter as much as the OSL and the MSL, which happen like once every you know, they happen like, there's 2 every year. Well, there's like 1 every 1.5 years, so there's like 2 every 3 years or something like that. It's a little different than that, but you guys know what I mean. I think I meant the opposite. I mean, because there's like 1.5 every year, which means there's 3 every 2 years, if that makes sense. I don't know. You guys know what I know I need to cut that part out because I don't even know what I'm saying. Here comes the Mutalist for Hydra though, and I'm actually gonna start a video on how much the GSL sucks and why the GSL sucks. I'm gonna make a kind of a live video and explain why I think what the GSL needs to improve on, and why the GSL is doing bad. But I'm gonna get back to the game because I know how annoyed. Ooh, Valkyrie! I know how annoyed you guys get when I just talk and blabber and, you know, kind of share my opinion on stuff when the game's going on and I'm not doing game description. Anyways, I haven't even been really looking at the game, but we have an Evo chamber down, as well as 3 hatch mutas, which are doing pretty significant damage to Classic's mineral line. Classic did go for an M&M build, as he did also go for a early expansion, opting to go for Valkyries. Hydra picking up another base at the bottom right, and just from the look at things, I think that Hydra is in a, you know, both players are actually in a pretty decent position. Hydra's being very, very annoying. There's no missile turrets up as far as I can see in the natural. Here comes Zerglings for Hydra, just streaming in, gonna be able to get in the base, probably gonna be able to pick off a few Marines at the least. He needs to be careful with his Mutalist not to get engaged by those Valkyries, because those Valkyries are gonna do a ton of damage. He can pick off those Valkyries with that Scourge. That's gonna be absolutely huge. Here comes the Scourge following the Valkyries. Oh man, could have got a hit off really, really easily. Does not even land 1 Scourge, and that's a little bit of miss micro by Hydra. Here he's trying to engage against those Medic Marine forces, but I don't think that would be a very smart idea. Doing a very, very nice job of attacking on both fronts, but here comes Classic. Looks like he's just going to say screw it and go for the main. He's bringing up his 2 Valkyries, and I mean, Scourge, really, I think that Scourge, he needs a little bit more Scourge, because Scourge are a little bit better against Valkyries than they are against Corsairs, in my honest opinion. It looks like he's building some creep colonies in his base to try to defend against this attack. Classic knows that that bottom base is there. These sunken colonies are not going to be up in time. He's probably going to lose his base, which is going to be very unfortunate. I don't know why he opted to go for this base. Here he comes engaging against the Valkyries. Valkyries getting a few hits off on those mutas, and you can just see that splash damage is just so effective against those clumped up mutas. Able to kill off one of those Vikings with some Scourge, doing a very nice job there. Morphing in another sunken colony, I believe, and a lurker Ave morphing as well. He has no detection as far as I know, so he's going to have to back up from that base at the very least. Might have got his engineering bay, or he has an academy, so he probably has a comsat, but I don't know if he has an engineering bay. Didn't really see it. Was too busy talking about why the GSL sucks and why Blizzard's a good company in developing games, not about the community and stuff. I mean, that sounds wrong. They do test their stuff, then even it out and balance it. It's just the way that they're doing this GSL Greytech whole thing is just absolutely wrong, and it's kind of ruining ruining the game for the future. I don't think SC2 is going to get as big in the near future. But here comes Classic, meanwhile, while I'm blabbering yet again, trying to attack the Sun Calling, able to take one of them down. Mutalisk taking some hits from those Valkyries. Those Valkyries are just so powerful against Mutalisk. And I think that this is the new play, honestly. I think that Valkyries are a good decision against Mutalisk. They just absolutely cannot engage. They have very good range as well, able to take down some of those Mutalisks. All those Mutalisks are very, very damaged. Dropship play now coming in for Classic as well. He has very, very good saturation at his natural. It looks like decent saturation at his main. Could use a little bit more, but doing a very nice job. Might have picked off a Valkyrie. Picks off both the Valkyrie. Here comes the Lurkers, just picking off all of these forces, not even really needing those other two Lurkers. Here he comes with more Mutalisks, and I think that Hydra has taken the lead, actually. There are no missile turrets in Classic's base. I don't even know if he has an engineering bay, man. He's going to have to run his SCVs, but he's going to be able to pick off these Marines, I think, fairly easily. Probably should still engage. Actually, there is quite a few Marines there, so being very wise to back out. I forgot that those Mutalisks were very damaged from those Valkyrie fire. Here he goes, morphing in a Hive, I believe, at that natural. Meanwhile, Classic is coming in with a dropship from the north on the left-hand side to the main base, which doesn't have a upgraded hatch, so might be able to do a little bit of a hatch snipe. There are 4 Lurkers off in the midfield in front of Classic's base, stepping up his forces, running in with these Marines, gonna try to pick off something or other. These Lurkers are morphing in. Good pull by Hydra, only losing about 1 drone. Hydra is trying to pick this up. He's gonna be able to pick off this spawning pool, though, I believe. Probably going to be able to pick off the hatch as well, just depending. The Mutalisks are coming back to clean up this forest, but he needs to be very careful. It's going to be very close to whether he can pick off this hatch or not. I think that the Mutalisks are going to arrive just in time, though. Going to be able to clean this up. There is only 1 medic, was a little bit disadvantageous for him. Here come the Mutalisks, just in the nick of time. Going to be able to pick off this medic Marine force. Well, pretty much a Marine force with a medic. Only a few Marines at the front for Hydra, but for Classic, but he is also getting some more mech units, probably switching a little bit to mech at this point in the game. Has mines. I think he has siege tech as well, not entirely sure about that. I have not seen a sieged up siege tank. Comp set going off on those Lurkers. Those Lurkers are going to have to back out, but no, he's going to go in here for a big attack, and Marines just popping. Here come the Mutalisks to reinforce, and I think, man, that Classic is in a ton of trouble. They're going to be able to pick off these Vultures, probably going to be able to pick off that tank as well, but needs to be careful not to lose those Mutalisks to that Valkyrie. That Valkyrie is doing a ton of damage, and that, like I said before, I think Valkyries are the new play in TVZ, just because, oh man, miss micro there, losing that tank, but just because they do so much damage. The splash is amazing versus Mutalisks, simply because he's able to hit all of those mutas when they stack, because muta stacking is very, very common these days versus Terran. Versus medic Marine forces, pretty much unheard of not to stack your mutas. I don't see why you wouldn't, but it really is so effective for the Valkyrie to be fighting them. Although Scourge are very, very good against Valkyries. Like I said before, there's 1 Vulture over there gonna get picked off by these mutas. We're having some frame rate issues for some reason. I don't think that's me. I think that's the video that was streamed on, but I apologize for that. Classic still at 2 bases, and I believe that Hydra is going to be at 4 very shortly. Don't know if he set down a hatch at that northern base at the bottom right. I could be wrong. Siege tank is now researched for sure. A lot of Lurkers, though, in the midfield. These Vultures probably not going to be able to do too much damage, especially... Oh, man, they might be able to pick off that Defiler, though. That's going to be huge. Able to pick off the Defiler. Swarm is going to be very, very delayed now. And so Hydra's going to just have to be content with sitting outside of the base. Just a ton of damage being done. And, Classic, he's really surprised me. He's sticking in here, even though he's very disadvantaged. And those Scourge able to pick off the Valkyrie. Like I said, I think that's probably why players don't use Valkyries as much, just because they are so Scourge susceptible. Looks like we have more Zerglings morphing in, and so we're going to see a Zergling Lurker swarm, which is very common. Probably once he gets another base or 2, he's going to move to Ultralist, but the game probably won't go that long, is what I'm assuming. I just think that Hydra is pretty far ahead, but he doesn't want to lose these Lurkers to those siege tanks, because those are just pretty much free hits that those siege tanks are getting on that Lurker, killing about 3 or 2 at the very least, doing a very nice job of attacking these. But at the same time, Hydra has a very good arc with all of his lurkers. Here comes a lot of Zerglings with the Defiler and just losing freaking lurkers, man. Here comes the lurker. Good swarm. Oh, don't know why they backed up. And Mind Drags killing a lot of those lurkers. Only 1 or 2 lurkers in the mix now. Another swarm going down, but I don't think this is enough. I don't think he's going to be able to take this out, but I could be wrong. More Lings coming in and suiciding into those tanks, but I think that Classic is going to be able to hold this off, although that swarm is going to be really, really annoying for the time being. He's going to have to back up his forces, make sure they don't get picked off, back out those siege tanks, and allow them to fire from a little bit farther. Ooh, Guardians! This game is absolutely ridiculous, and this MSL round of 16 is insane, man. We just saw Jaedong versus Midas, and now we see Guardians over everything, and the Scourge going in yet again to kill off these these Valkyries. These Guardians are going to be able to do so much damage. Greater Spire over everything. That is just ridiculous, and Classic GG's. Hydra just pulling it out, man. Somehow, some way, he just unstandard play after unstandard play, but doing it in such a epic fashion. Well, I guess it wasn't that unstandard, but Guardians fairly unstandard. I guess the other unstandard part were the Valkyries, which aren't even that unstandard anyways. So, who cares? I said it. But you know, Hydra just playing very, very well. Classic. He needs to get himself together for set 2. Anyways, that's game. So if you liked what you saw, please subscribe, give me a like, and tell me what you think in the comments below. Lates.